So here are the 3 steps we're going to cover together. First, choose the time and setting. Second, make a transition plan. And third, prepare in detail for the interview. Now, let's talk about each one in more detail. Make a transition plan. And when you make a transition plan, I want you to think through these issues. First, who will replace this person? Or if you're not going to replace them right away or maybe at all, how will their work be divided up? Who will step in and take pieces of their work? And make a plan in detail as to how that's all going to be divided up, because all of their coworkers will want to know. Think through how to protect the organization. That means securing sensitive information like changing passwords, changing locks, and so on. So you just want to make sure that you're secure before you engage in the firing interview. Transitions go well when you think the entire process through in advance, particularly that transition plan. Choose the time and setting for the firing interview. The best time allows the employee a chance to take action the next day. So for that reason, I don't like Fridays, because on a Friday, a person can go home and they can't take any action. They can't go to an employment office or an unemployment office to see if they have benefits or qualify for anything. They can't really go look through job ads and want ads because it's the weekend. They can't take a whole lot of action. So I prefer earlier in the week, so they've got all week to get busy and start taking action and starting to move on to their new future. The best time allows the employee to save face. So I like the end of the day when their coworkers have gone home. So they don't have to maybe be emotional in front of them. They don't have to do the walk of shame as they clean out their desk and so on. So I want them to be able to save face as much as possible. When you're thinking of the time and setting, you have to use some common sense. So the best time is not on a major holiday, obviously. Like, hey, it's Christmas Eve, and by the way, maybe you could just stop by my office on the way home. No, this is not a good idea. Not the day a family member goes to the hospital. Not when a person is recovering from surgery. You don't want to do this when there's other crisis going on in that person's life, if possible. Again, you just have to use some common sense to choose the right timing. The best time ensures privacy so the employee can save face. That's why I really do prefer the end of the day when others have gone home. The best time allows the employee to have a quick exit so they don't have to do the walk of shame in front of their coworkers. I want to avoid this. For them, that's not fun for them, nor is it pleasant for their coworkers to watch. You want them to be able to save face and preserve their dignity. Again, if this was happening to your best friend or your son or daughter or mom or dad or partner, how would you want it handled? Do that. And always include a witness. When a witness is there, you're de-risking the whole situation. You're not going to have the he said, she said that you may have if you do that just by yourself. Before you sit down for the interview, make sure you have all of these details covered off. Things like remaining pay. What do you owe them? Any benefits that might accrue to them? Unused vacation time? Severance arrangements? Return of company property? Figure out how you're going to deal with that. Do they have phones, or computers, other technology, vehicles, and those sorts of things that need to be returned? You need to cover those off in that meeting because you're not going to have another chance to. Ongoing project arrangements. Goodbyes to coworkers. One thing you don't want to do is get on the phone later that week and say, hey, we didn't really talk about this. How do you want to handle that? You want this to be your last time interacting with this employee. So make sure you've thought these things through. And you may want to put these things in writing because they're probably not going to remember a lot of what's said in that interview because they're going through this whole emotional process. So these things you may want to itemize in writing just so that they know and can remember when they leave that room and they go home and they look back on that conversation. You may feel an impulse to give the person a letter summarizing why all this has happened. But I'm just going to urge you, do not put your complaints in writing. There's no need to say, if only you had done this, or here's your failings, I'm going to itemize them. This is for a couple of reasons. First of all, that person can keep that letter for the rest of their lives and go home and pull it out and parse it and think about how unfair it was and think negatively about you and the company for the rest of their lives. That letter will exist telling them how unfairly they were treated. Second, it only strengthens their hand if they go to a labor lawyer and you've said anything that can be construed as actionable or wrong. So just resist the impulse. Don't put it in writing.